Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 9th, 2023 at approximately 4:16 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies I personally live by. With this in mind, before I go any further, we're going to just let you know, Football Cat, you are in with the gold. Well done. Now, I decided we were going to try and get things we were going to get things a little more organized. So, let's take a look at what is the purpose of your life. What is it that drives you, or what is it you're aiming for? Perhaps you're just simply looking to get your finances in order. Maybe you've got a dream of becoming a professional author, or perhaps you desire to run a multinational planned company. Okay, whatever the purpose, now is the time to get it sorted out. And we're just going to do this one step at a time. And yes, in order to keep this in perspective, I am going to be going through the way I do it as well. Because like I said, these are the exact same tools I personally use. Okay, so that's the first thing you take a look at, is what is your primary purpose right now? Not the biggest thing available, but right now. Maybe it is just a question of getting your office sorted around. Maybe that's your purpose or your goal. Okay, now you take a look at that. Once you've identified a single purpose, you start altering everything around you that gets in the way of that hinders that growth. And I have a dislocated knee. That's always fun. And Joe, you're in with the silver. The nice part about it is what your purpose is it can be as big or as small as you'd like. The methodology of making it happen, of making it a reality, are still the same. I appreciate that, football. We really do enjoy having you in the chat room. And there are a number of people that show up, you being one of them, that when you're absent, where I'm looking at it going, okay, is football cat okay, or did she end up getting moved sideways? Sometimes the answers I give are absolutely a little more concise. Dave was talking to me about it yesterday, that some of the answers were a little short, which granted some of them are, but I find it a little difficult to extend some of them. But the way I'm looking at it right now is that maybe by getting things a little bit more organized, I can actually get things done properly. So, today, like I said, we're looking at the purpose. And by the way, the reason, like I said, let's try one thought. What do you think? I always keep a pad of paper handy, so when a thought comes to mind, I can get it on paper and start working with it. Now, I will tell you what I'm talking about right now, this whole idea of getting your purpose in order. Okay, I am currently in the process. That's one of the multiple books I'm working on. Okay, and the notes I make here will absolutely help. They will contribute towards the conciseness of what I'm putting down on paper. Okay, it really boils down to this. Get an idea in your head as to what you really are, as to what you are really striving to accomplish. In my case, it's simple. Okay, I spent my entire life really staying away from people. For some reason, you die at birth, you die you die at 2 years old, well, 20 months in all fairness, 5 years old, somewhere between 8 and 9, it screws up your perception of what people see as normal. Okay? But I hid from the world with one primary idea in mind. I stay out of the mainstream, and maybe people will start to think. As it turns out, and I'm a slow learner, rest assured. As it turns out, well, 50 and 55 years later, people are still doing the same thing. And I finally said, no, enough is enough. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at that. Dave and I were talking about the same thing, as a matter of fact. Let's do this. This is the link to Dave's live stream. So we pop this in here and we go, give it a listen. If you like what he has to say, come right out. Come right out and give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay. I was talking to Dave in between sections, and he and I both agreed. The time went by in one heck of a hurry. Now, here I am, with regards to Spaced Out Radio, I've been on it for 8 years. Okay. And, Dave has been growing ever since. As it turns out, I was within the first year or so. Nathan, how you doing now? I think I've got something here. We've got Football Joe. And Nathan, you are in with the bronze. And this here is the link to Nathan's show. Oh, would you look at that? I forgot all about that. This is the link to Nathan's show. So absolutely drop in. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And as you'll note, he is on, we close down here around about 6:30 Pacific time. Nathan's show comes on about 7 p.m. Pacific time. Joe, how you doing? And you are in with honorable mention. That was a long time ago. I still don't collaborate with them, but then again, I don't collaborate with people either. Not in the traditional sense of the word. But I am glad to see you're still around there, Joe. The reality of it is, we've got a world in our hands right now that we have a choice. We can either work together and make it into a better world for virtually everybody, or we can let it continue down the path it's on, which, by the way, is a really bad road at this point. From my standpoint, I've made no bones about it. I am very unhappy with the way the human race is treating each other and the planet itself. Absolutely. I absolutely am appalled by the way a lot of people do that. However, in this chat room, I don't think I could be happier with the interaction I see between people here. Now, if we can take, and I know we can take this template and push it into the material world and lead by example. Football, in answer to your question, not in the traditional sense of the word. Okay, there is a payoff, but not from a financial standpoint. I'll tell you, if I was paid financially what I actually get now, what I actually deal with, I would be a multi-billionaire right now. In time, I intend to be. Okay, but like I do here, I don't charge for my time on the live stream. I don't charge for the information I put into the newsletter. This said, do I accept money when it's offered? I have yet to turn money down. Speaking of which, that reminds me. If I go to stand up and I hit the floor, don't panic on it. My leg's right out of joint today. That's just a plain normal thing from my end. Yeah, I'm not sure, Joe. Joe, I'm not sure if that works out quite well, but I like it the way it goes. What do we got? Yeah, honestly, football. I have found what I've been told is literally even the gods themselves have trouble figuring out which way I work, and here's why. Every corporeal I know of, well, no, that's not every. I know of 6 of us that have this exact same problem. Okay. And that problem being, when I was 20 months old, I took a fever of 108.4 that flash fried the hypothalamus, the hippocampus, and essentially split the brain in two. Now, am I going to go back to the doctor to get this verified? Not a snowball's prayer. Did the MyLab thing, did the lab rat thing, not going to happen. The other 5 people that I heard of that had the same situation are all locked up in the nut house. And I know that's probably offensive. I got over it pretty quick. I've never claimed to be politically correct. Okay, on the flip side of that, I do not look down on people that are mentally different or what people call mentally neurodivergent. Okay, my father was very clear that if everybody was the same, this would be a very boring world. Okay, so the only time I ever look down on anybody is if I have to be higher up, as in physically above them, I have to be taller than them, then yes, I will certainly look down. Okay. That's just terrible there, Joe. you know, the reality is I do not, because of the fact I look at the positive, the negative, and the neutral all literally at the same time. They've never been able to track what I was looking for. Okay, because as it was put to me, I'm going down the road this way, and I can go either direction or stay on track without even thinking about it. A lot of people go through that. Buddy of mine, football, and I do feel for your sister. A really good friend of mine got hit twice by lightning, and he ended up with a very simple little problem, also known as paranoid schizophrenia. Okay, but that was after being struck twice, one of which he actually died. Kind of screws things up. Yeah, not usually. I tell you, people younger than us, you look at them crosswise, and all of a sudden they got, the world's going in because their feelings have been hurt. This is why I've long held, politically correct? Absolutely not. Will I give you an honest answer? You bet. And this said, when you have a question, even if it's not in the same field, okay, in the same topic we're discussing at the moment, come right out and ask. But please put it all in all caps, a major chunk in caps. At least give me a wavy hand sign so that I know you're looking for an answer. The other issue here is if I don't get to your answer, take a look into your question. Take a look at the list of access points below this video. There's a lot of ways of getting a hold of me. Okay, so take a look to start with. What is your goal? Okay, in my case, it's simple: to step out of the shadows and now to start leading people by example. But the only way I know of that I can do that is go, this is what I'm building. Now, let me just take a quick peek at one thing here. And yeah, we are definitely behind the schedule. That's okay. I have, as soon as I get done with this stream, first rule, and I'm just going to keep a list here, okay, on these sheets. so that when I get done this stream, I can actually start getting to the other stuff. But the thing is, once you've got a direction to go, stay focused. Anything that is interfering with that, redirect the energy so that you can actually focus and attain what you're aiming for. Okay, for me, let's start with the obvious issue. I've got my office desk here. Okay, and all the way through it, I've got the hard copy there. What do we got? Take that. Well, hang those up there. Now I've gotten my layout for the rest of this week. Bear in mind, my week ends on Wednesday. That's when because Thursday I don't come on the air. So I've already booked this week. Okay. And next week I've got laid out. But if there is a topic you would like to look at in any field, absolutely drop me a line. Let me know what the topic is, and I will work it into the schedule. I've got a schedule, so I'm set to go. I don't have to think too terribly far ahead at this point. Now, football. Football Cat is asking, is purpose the same as a contract? The answer is no. Okay. The contract is and the only real functional contract you got to worry about is what you contracted with for and what you decided for yourself you were going to learn in the big scheme. A purpose or a goal is what we are referring to in order to get your life on track, in order to work towards completing that contract you already made. Now, why, pray tell, am I Disney? I do not like that. That happens to be one of those pet peeves of mine. Get him out of the way. Put him back up there. No, a purpose is more appropriately, whoa. Oh, well, I do feel for you there, Joe. Do let us know how things work out and if you've got things under control there. You know, definitely our prayers are with you that things stay stable. You know, now, when we're looking at purpose, we are looking at essentially a goal. Okay, now this may be a very big goal. For me, it's simple. Okay, I am building an empire. As one person put it, I forget exactly which one. I think it was Joe Stewart, but I may well be wrong on that. Okay. The one thing apparently, like, I'm already gone global. Okay. And it is my firm belief that by getting organized, by deciding, okay, here's the way I'm doing things, it makes things a lot easier. Okay. And to that end, we're going to do this. Now, today we already know we're discussing purpose. Then we go Sunday, open topic. On Monday, we will be dealing with Lemurians. On Tuesday, what do we got here? Oh, is gaming. Where are we? The origin of gaming, a new perspective. This is for Tuesday. These are just the topics I'm looking at that are already booked in place. I just figure we'll do it this way and see what pops. Because I figure the more organized you are, the easier it's going to be for you to get your life going where you desire it to go. Yeah, football. Football's just asking, when you overcame color blindness, were the colors startling? It was absolutely shocking. I was driving through the Coquihalla connector, which is a road through the mountains, with a friend of mine that had known me since grade 12. And we're driving along and everything kicked in, and I'm driving along. I didn't dump the car, but I looked at him. I'm looking out the window going, that grass is green. And she going, the lass that was riding with me, she goes, it's always been green. Wait a minute. You were colorblind. I said, well, I know I was colorblind, but that's multiple shades of green. It was absolutely bizarre. The funny part about it is what triggered it, and I looked into this after the fact, was when I snapped my arm, they gave me an overdose of morphine and anesthetic. Net result, it reset something in my brain. All of a sudden, I see color. It's not perfect. I still have trouble identifying some of it. Okay, but the world is so much different. I'm no longer looking at a black and white TV. I'm looking at a color TV, which is really, really weird for me. Computers, when I was looking at computers, even when 3.0 came out, I was looking at a black and white monitor. Period. That's all it was. Yes, football, it really was. I was fortunate. I had one shade of red. The fortunate part was, how you doing there, Emmy? Glad you could join us. The fortunate part was on the streetlights at that time, all the streetlights were one color, were one shade. I happened to see that shade. The same applied to the green lights. But when everything kicked in, other than that, it was just gray. And I never saw the half shades. So for me, I only saw, and this may well have contributed to why I don't see color as an indicator on people. Because everybody was gray, except albinos were white. And what I learned to call the Numenorian Africans were black. Other than that, your Negroes, your Hispanics, your Greeks, your East Indians, all of them were gray. Caucasians were all gray. Your Irish were just gray. Okay. So, Christmas was great. It was great. But it has shown me a very bizarre world. I used to see, because I didn't realize other people didn't see it. I would see auras, but I was seeing field density. I wasn't even seeing the color of auras. Okay, there was just something not connecting. So you take a look at where your life is standing. Okay, and you go, okay, is this the path I desire to be on? Where am I here? Joe's going, oh, I know we already talked about this. I'm just going to get this out of the way. How to block a scam email. Block them even if it returns again. The only thing I know is you can actually go into the email. If you hover above, let me just make sure I'm giving you the right information as far as I know. Let me see here. We take this. Let's just grab this and move it up there. I just want to make sure I give you the right information from my standpoint. Okay, if I call up my email and I go into there, okay, if you're trying to block a scam email, once you know it's a scam, you put your cursor over top of the email, the bold part where it tells you what the email is. Okay, you right click and it'll give you a drop down menu. Now this is presuming you're using Windows 11. It'll give you a drop down menu where it says block sender. Okay, a little below that there's also unsubscribe. I recommend doing both. Okay, at least unsubscribe to start with. But if you know it's a scam, hit the right click with your cursor over top of the email in question. It'll give you a drop down menu. Look down 6 lines, you'll see block centers. Okay, hit that and it'll block it for you. Okay, I think there's a couple of other ones that work. Yeah, and unfortunately, football. The thing with the Hotmail, I've heard of it. I've heard a lot about it. Okay, that it's a very big problem with Hotmail. Black Dragon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And we also have Tracy B popping in. Yeah, Joe, I've got the same thing. I've got an Apple, an iPhone. I think mine is an iPhone 7, mind you. But my computer is Windows. It was actually recommended I stick with Windows because of my problem with trying to get them working. Raven, how you doing? Let us minimize that. Go back here, and we have Raven. And this, people, is the link to Raven's live stream. So absolutely, when you get an option, drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, give her a thumbs up, and absolutely subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Emmy. When I look at purpose, I go, okay, what am I doing that is getting in the way? Well, one of the big things I found, and I cannot show you, I really got to quit doing that. I keep putting my ankle up on my left and putting my right ankle up on my left knee because it used to be really comfortable, but every time I do that, I end up popping the right knee out of joint. That's always fun. By the way, not really. But holy mackerel, way out of joint now. But over that clunk you hear, if you hear it, is a legal size filing cabinet. Oh, okay. Doing a little bit of a rebuild, are we, Raven? The neat part about it is once you've got a purpose in mind. Oh, heavens, no, I got enough joints. I don't need an extra one. Honestly, there, football, I've yet to find one that actually does what it's supposed to in my system. My body does not react normally to much of anything. Black Dragon, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, let me ask you guys, okay, have any of you, and I've mentioned this before, have any of you come up with a goal or a purpose that you're aiming to accomplish? Okay, I know in my case, I've got a very clear one in mind. Okay, this is why I was working today, and where is that? Over here, I think. Yep. I was out today working on some stuff for the October edition. Okay, so it'll get added tonight and get popped into it. So I've got a bunch of stuff going on there. That's got to be dealt with tonight. But My goal is real simple. Take the information I've got, get it on paper as best I can, or in book form, okay, and then start sharing it with people. Black Dragon, I think you'll be able to pull that one off. But thanks for reminding me way too late. I went and picked up groceries today, right, and didn't pick myself up any bacon. On the other hand, I myself don't cook much. My son, on the other hand, I picked him up some elk, and tomorrow he's going to be making elk stew with gravy and obviously with gravy, but with fresh vegetables. But he knows how to cook, so this works out rather nicely. But the reality of it is, from my standpoint, I'm lucky. I don't have arthritis. What I am aiming at doing, though, is getting my head on straight so that I can go, okay, you've got a situation you're facing. And this little book here, this funny one here, was literally the first one I started with. It was the first of the self-help books. Okay. And it is the one, this contains the backbone of how I took my life from an absolute shambles to what I've got right now, which is just a bit of a gimpy mess. But no, seriously, the first thing I found that I discovered, you desire your life to change, the first thing you do, okay, when you wake up in the morning, and this is where your biggest obstacles are, okay, let's go with the idea of your purpose being to get your life on a better track than what it currently is. But I'm talking a better track in your eyes, not in my eyes, in yours. Okay. The trick to doing that is not to figure out what you desire your life to look like in time. I tend to concur that those work really well. Okay. And then all you got to have in the background playing for music is somebody that knows how to do it. I personally like the sound of both the harp and the bagpipes. If the person knows how to play. If the person does not know how to play the bagpipes, well, in a nutshell, it sounds like they're throttling a cat. Okay, but I've decided it's time to come out of the shadows and start going, okay, this is what we're doing. Now, again, guys, if you like the stream, do me a favor. Give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. Because it's this sharing, it's this spreading the connection that is going to make this a world, that is going to turn this world into a much better one for virtually all of us. Good afternoon there, Chris. How you doing? We absolutely have to. Now, that being said, Chris, I've actually got you on my list of things I gotta get to deal with. Number of reasons for that. But this last couple of weeks has been stupid as I've been striving to get the government to give me a hand before all my money runs out. And yes, I've made some really stupid moves where I did an absolutely bizarre idea, took a chunk of money and loaned it to somebody without actually paying attention to my own first. Now I'm running a rail line. Okay, but one of the biggest things there, Chris, I absolutely have to get in touch with you. And this said, ignoring sometime, I know tomorrow's going to be booked solid, but Chris, how about if you drop me a line, let me know when next week works for you. Okay, the only time that won't work is like between 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. Pacific. I'm on here, which makes it really rough. Other than that, we should be able to work it in without too terribly much problem. Ignoring Thursday, of course, because, well, that's my game. Thursday daytime works. Thursday night, that's my game day. But absolutely drop me a line when you've got time available, and we will work and we will make that happen. Because it's got to get back on track. I've got a lot that's got to happen. Absolutely, there, Chris. Absolutely, and we will make it happen. It's got to be brought into balance. Well, that would be a different scent there, Emmy. Yeah. I'm not sure how well that's going to go over in public, but I will tell you, any dog in the neighborhood would be really happy and really attentive. Tracy B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. My life has gotten hectic beyond belief. If, now this is a very big if for me, if the Canadian government steps up to the plate and goes, yes, we're going to give you a hand, we're going to give you the guidance to make this publishing company work, okay, then I'll be set for life. And then I can start really working at making those of you, making available to those of you that have artwork, written work, poems, whether it's short stories, poems, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm starting in that field, but I'm opening the doors to the whole 9 yards. Because the number of publishers that I've dealt with that have painted a beautiful picture and completely scrambled it. They said, this is what we'll do. It's cost me a fortune. I'm not about to let that happen in my company. Okay. Now, people have said you'll have to incorporate to protect yourself. I'm thinking, well, let me think. If I'm honest and do my job properly, I don't have to worry about it. Yes, I have to make sure things are done in a legal fashion. Tracy B, happy belated birthday. The nice part about it, okay, the way I've always held it is that everybody has one birthday. The rest of it is celebrating that anniversary. Well, you guys have some bizarre ideas. They're fabulous for ways to make new types of perfume. All in all, we have a real big, we have a real big opportunity in front of us right now. And that is to take a look at all the things that are going on around you and decide which ones are you going to put focus on. Are you going to do like the massive majority of people and open up your newspaper or your news service on the internet and go, who killed who ripped who off, who embarrassed who made an absolute fool of themselves? Oh, and these are pictures you don't want to see. Are you going to feed into that? Or are you going to feed into the idea, like the one I saw was priceless. Somebody on YouTube posted they put a tube on a video up, there we go, of a grizzly bear fishing a crow out of the water and letting the crow go. Now, to me, if they can do that, okay, if wild animals can help each other, why can people of a different skin color not do the same thing? Why don't they? Other than we are taught, if you're a different skin color, you're a lesser individual. Okay, now I'm going to throw a wrench into things here. And again, like I said, yes, I'm looking at purpose. What is your purpose? Well, here's the thing, and this is going to tick somebody off. I know this for an absolute certainty. That said, do not take my word for it. Look it up. Okay, I get so many people, not all of them by any means, but so many people that their skin is black going, oh, white people brought me over, brought my people over here against our will. They turned us, they enslaved us. Let's get two things cleared up. Check it out on the internet. Do not take my word for it. Okay. But first and foremost, yes, the Dutch brought the Negroid race over here. Absolutely they did. But Negroes sold Africans sold Africans to the Dutch. Dutch brought them over. Then I stumbled across something the other day that just floored me. When the black people when the slaves were released after a certain amount of indenturement, a staggering number of them turned around and bought other slaves and thereby perpetuated the same thing. So this idea of, slavery, I do not agree with slavery. Now, do not get me wrong on this. Even back in 1760, when I was running a plantation down in Louisiana, okay, I had 3 plantations. And yes, I did have slaves, but I only ever bought 2 of them. Everybody else just sold. They just paid me to take them. Yes, absolutely, Tracy B. White slaves happen all over the place. And here's the real kicker to that. When we start looking at visible minorities, and this is one of those purposes I have, is to bring this charade out in the open. Visible minorities, do your own research. The Caucasian race, as in people my color, are, globally speaking, the minority. Okay, it's just that simple. Now, do I think that Caucasians are better than the Orientals, better than the Chinese, better than East Indians? Not in the slightest. I was told one day, I was actually told I was the only true racist that they'd ever met. Because I look at everybody and go, you're all the same. Okay, and I don't mean each individual one of you. Because again, the ones that are in this room and the people that you guys talk to clearly are getting the message turned around. Black Dragon goes, Emmy, I have a walk-in smoker. You can use as a sauna and get the deep essence into your... That's just terrible. I get a kick out of it, but what the heck? But no, my purpose is simple. To get the message out that everybody has a strength. Everybody has a strong suit. Everybody has a weak point. Okay. And like my father used to say, if it would be a terrible world, a terribly boring world if everybody was the same. Now, what I'm looking at is this. The newsletter I'm putting out is, and I'm going to look into a few things with it, but the purpose is simple. To give people something positive to look at. Now, I notice up here, Joe, you're asking, does Devil's Night still exist in some places, or is it now Angel's Night? No, when you talk to the witches, to the actual practicing witches, Devil's Night is still very much a real thing. Okay, the reality of it is that is something that, in all fairness, I'm a firm believer should still be in place, but then I'm a little twisted. But no, from my understanding, I don't even know, I wonder if that tells us. Because I don't even know for certain what day that is. Let us see. Not there. There. And we go up here and we go new window. Well, more to the point, new tab. I'm just checking something up on the internet. which oddly enough I can now do. That's what I thought. And let us see. Now, Devil's Night #1 is still very much a living thing. Oh, okay. I'm looking at this, and it says in 1995, Detroit city officials organized and established Angels Night on and around October 29th through 31st. Each year, as many as 50,000 volunteers gather to patrol neighborhoods in the city. So, absolutely, what do we got here? So absolutely both exist, but yes, Devil's Night is very much a real thing still. Now, Eternity, how are you doing? Glad you could join us. Honestly, football, I really haven't. Football's just asking, has anyone seen the trailer for Satanic Hispanics? It looks scary. Well, I don't watch horror movies anyway. I just am not overly drawn to them. Some of the older ones, they called them horror shows, but I'm telling you, they really weren't. Okay, things like what people call the B class, as in The Blob, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, The Evil Dead. Okay, that one was hilarious in my eyes. But, do I actually myself watch horror shows? No, I really don't. Football Rocky Horror was a horror show. I never could follow that one in particular. See, here's the thing, Emmy. Emmy's just saying I prefer to be called European American. I have so many different races in me. My grandma just called me a mutt. Well, I guess there were worse things she could have called you. But, the reality from my standpoint is in this world, from what I gather, there's not an individual that is of only one nationality anymore. I have no idea why we bother separating it all. I was told by one person that I was the only true racist they'd ever met because I look at everybody and go, you're all a little off kilter and you all have to start. Yeah, I'm not a Southerner, and everybody has to start looking at this world and going, okay, yeah, you've got different heritage in your past. Think what would happen if there were purebloods of only one nationality. The odds are you're looking at quite frankly, a staggering amount of interbreeding. Net result, massive genetic degradation. Oh, Nathan, I could not agree with you more. Well, I don't think I could. Nathan is just saying all races of humans should use their blinkers. I'm thinking that would be an idea. Although there was a bumper sticker back in the late 70s, early 80s. It was priceless. If you don't like the way I drive, stay off the sidewalk. And I'll tell you, there's a lot less vehicular traffic on the sidewalk than there is, than there is on the road itself. What do we got here? Yeah, Black Dragon is going, I'm half Russian, half hillbilly, and I'm half Polish, half Russian, and half hillbilly. Let everybody else decide what half of me they want to hate. In my case, I just look at it and go, I'm different, but I'm me. The reality of it is this: we have to start looking at the similarities between people. you'll notice virtually every human has two eyes that look forward. They got two ears, one mouth that goes into hyperdrive while the ears and the brain shut off. But, you've got two arms, two legs, mostly anyway. Okay. And I don't care what your income level is. Most of you still put your pants on one leg at a time. Okay. And for those of you that are into dressing a little of what people call differently, we must remember men wore most of what women wear today. Men wore first. Now, no, do not get me wrong. I am not about to get into a dress. Okay. Just not going to happen. Also not going to be wearing high heels. Something about it, I just don't have legs for it. Yeah, I couldn't see the point to it myself either there, Joe. Like I said, I've done the lab rat thing, but Joe's just saying, I refuse to do those DNA tests, 23andMe. I'll make the CIA get my DNA the hard way. The way I figure it, they showed up on my doorstep. They already have all the information they need on me. But we take a look at your purpose. Now, let's assume that one of your holdups is you're sleeping too long. Okay. Now, here's the thing. One of the miscalculations I found that lots of people make is if you desire to change your sleeping pattern, go to bed at the same time. I have found this after literally over 100,000 clients. You desire to shift your sleeping pattern, pick a time to get up, regardless of when you go to bed. Okay. Now, the most successful people around the world, turns out, are up and mobile by 5 to 6 o'clock a.m. local time. Okay. If you happen to get up and you get tired, then absolutely take a nap. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's that getting up first thing in the morning. Okay. When you wake up, you wake up, stay put long enough to let your eyes focus. Then you get out of bed, go do what you have to in the washroom, because I'm telling you, you don't want to do it in your bed. You probably already know that. Do what you have to in the washroom, come back, get dressed, make your bed, tidy up the floor. Okay, then leave your bedroom. And this applies to children, teenagers, adults, and seniors, and everybody in between. Okay, and here's why. Number one, when you get out of bed at a regular time, you've number one, overcome the most difficult obstacle that you're likely to ever face. Your own stubborn disposition. Okay, get yourself organized by making your bed first thing in the morning. Okay, you've just completed the most annoying task, it seems, at least according to most people. Okay, you've completed it before you even got started with your day, and you got your bed made. Okay, now you're ready to begin. Yeah, and that's just it. Some people, that's exactly what they do. Okay, not everybody is diurnal. Diurnal means awake and operational during the day. In my case, when my system is running right, I run from about 3 o'clock in the morning until midnight. This is not necessarily a great idea for most people. Okay, but I have been known to take a nap somewhere in the middle of that. So the first thing that I'm looking at here is this. Choose what your goal is. Take a look at anything around you that you're not content with its layout. Okay, and modify it. Now, why do I have something orange there? Oh, I don't. This is... Ouch. What did I do with it? Work BC, okay. There. Remember what I mentioned about do not procrastinate and wait to get things done? This is why when I realized that was behind me, I went, okay, Problem solved. Let's get it dealt with. Okay. Once you've got a goal in mind, once you've got a purpose in mind, for me, building an empire. I'm not just looking at the publishing company. The publishing company is simply where I'm starting. But before anybody comes to that conclusion, no, under the current laws, I will not incorporate, because incorporation does two things. The fundamental problem I have with it is if you incorporate, you have to have a board of directors. Problem: that board of directors under today's laws in Canada can have you fired. I'm not letting that chance happen. Will I eventually take on a board of advisors? Certainly. Okay. Okay. Black Dragon's going, I wake up around 2 p.m. and go to sleep around 8 a.m. Okay. And that's just it. With the way the world is, that's not a problem. You've got a static point. Okay. So we look at you when you're getting up at 2 p.m. You still do the same thing. When you wake up, give yourself enough time to let your eyeballs focus. If you happen to be deaf, or not deaf, if you happen to be blind, wait until your senses focus enough you can operate. Okay, you get up, do what you have to in the washroom, come back, get yourself dressed, get the bed made, now you're good to go. This gets the day moving properly. Okay, and I know that may sound way too simple. Now, here's the other thing. You've got your bed made, you've got the floor cleared. Now, before you walk out the door, put a smile on your face. And yeah, this is what I call smiling. Okay, put a smile on your face. If you don't like it, put it on your face anyway. Yes, it may seem fake, may feel weird. Do it anyway. If you really can't bring yourself to smile, grab some face paint and paint a smile on your face. Okay, in time, you'll start to feel it and feel the actual joy of it. And it certainly will make other people look at you. Okay, and yes, absolutely. You start painting your face with face paint, and it will look like a fake smile. People may figure, hey, that looks like a really fake smile. Well, thank heavens for that. If you're using face paint and it doesn't look like a fake smile, you really have to wonder about the eyes of the person looking at you. Okay, now, right now, I'm looking at the newsletter. I'm looking at the live stream. I am looking at multiple books. Okay. These are three things I'm looking at of really building on. Now, am I going to work on consulting as well as the rest of it? Yeah, I am. And Black Dragon, that quick smile, in all fairness, may be all that is required. That may be all that somebody is looking for to make them feel a little better. Okay. This is just one of those things to get used to. So we are looking at doing this with the whole world. And I do strongly encourage you, let's start a pandemic. One of my purposes in life is literally to start a pandemic. Okay, but the pandemic I'm talking about is a thing about people helping people. There was a movie out, I think back in the 1990s, called Pay It Forward. Okay, do something nice for somebody just because, and ask them to pass it on. Okay, it's that simple. But if we turn around and start a pandemic where everybody's smiling, okay, what you end up with is a whole pile of people walking around smiling. What a terrible sight that would be, wouldn't it? Just absolutely horrendous. Nobody's getting embarrassed. Nobody's being put down. You're not being chastised for wearing the wrong type of clothing. I don't know. I personally figure if the clothing covers the necessary areas, it's the right type of clothing. Now, yes, I'm very much a reclusive individual, and yet I am doing what I can to get out of the shadows. Okay. So it really boils down to this. Not what kind of a world did you come from? Not was your life miserable the first number of years? Okay, Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And where, pray tell? There we are. Here's a bizarre thought for you, Gordana, and this actually applies to everybody. Okay. And you don't have to answer this by any functional stretch of the imagination. Your physical body, the one you're in right now, was it conceived and born on this planet? Not your memories. I'm talking about your physical body. There are many people that remember their last life, many of them off-world. Okay, and that may be the dominant memories. But I will tell you, if you're physically born on this planet, and you're born of physical, even if you're born of actual aliens, if you're born on this planet, you're not an alien. You are a terrestrial. If you have a body that is human, your memories may be a little screwy. Okay, but if your body is human, you're human. Your memories may not be your recent memories, or your most dominant ones may not be of Earth. Okay, but when we are talking about whether you're human or alien, understand. Okay, alien means you are not from this area. Okay, that you weren't born here. Okay, now this is the same argument that I've had to deal with people going, well, I'm native because I'm North American Indian. Newsflash, if you're born in Canada, you're native to Canada. If you're born in the United States, you are a native to the United States. This is just the reality. And the more we try and find ways to separate based on how we look at the world, the more problematic things get. And the worse this world gets and travels down that really negative rabbit hole. Okay, it's just something to consider, because I will tell you, once everybody realizes, okay, first of all, there are no third world countries. In my world, there are no third world countries. This is our primary, and currently, as far as modern humans go, our only planet. It's our only world. So we have to stop spinning. We've got to stop with the toxics. I won't argue that there, Black. Memories are a really screwy thing. Okay, I mean, in my case, I've got memories that date back literally billions, well, a whole lot more than billions, of years. Okay, but I still have to look at the issue of going, okay, this is the world I'm living in. This is the world I'm dealing with. Okay. And it's one of these things that we have to look at and go, okay, what is the similarities between people? Not what are the differences. Okay. If you take a look at basic biology, and I know this is going to upset somebody. In my opinion, it's simple. Basic straight line biology. You got two genders. It's not a question of what you relate to. Okay, it's a question of what your physicality is. Okay, now yes, there are people that are born hermaphroditic, where they are both genders. Okay, let me ask you this: when we start looking at your purpose in life, is it to bring, And I'm just going to look at two aspects. When you look at the options, you got three roads to go down. Work towards bringing unity to the planet so that we can bring peace across the board, bring anarchy to the planet, or sit there and just say, I'm not doing anything, and just see what happens. Those are essentially your three options: positive, negative, and neutral. And again, we go back to that funny little detail of the theory of relativity. 1 + 1 = 3. Okay, this is what we have to, and what it would be wise to look at. For me, it's simple. Okay, I'm looking at the world going, it's time we turn this around. It's time we start focusing on the similarities. It's time we start focusing on what is going on that is of a positive nature. Now, give you a prime example of that. I take a look at this chat room and you guys in this chat room, and most of the time, everybody's supporting everybody, everybody's getting along. Okay, I go to other streams that I've dropped in on, and there is so much. It's not a question of cross chatter. There is so much anger. Okay, there is so much anger in some of the other chat rooms that I look at it going, how can you tolerate that? Like, why would you stay there? Black Dragon's is just adding, I just sense other people's energy. The flesh doesn't hide who we really are. This is essentially correct. Daniel Brinkley stated it very nicely when he said we are all spiritual entities having a human experience. Okay, put that in a slightly more modern term. If you drive a Chevy, okay, are you any less valuable than somebody drives a Ford? That drives a Ford. Okay, it's another vehicle. Okay, now yes, I know there are people that go, oh, Chevy is the be all and end all of all vehicles. And the Ford owners go, Ford is the absolute bomb. Okay. And really, if you looked at the Ford Pinto 1976, they called it the Ford exploded car for a reason. It was a bomb. Mind you, then you have the Edsel, which was also a bomb. But my purpose is simple. Get people to start questioning whether you're on a positive path or a negative one. If you're on what you consider a negative path, perhaps it is time to find a new path. If you're listening to somebody that is telling you because somebody is a different color, they are evil, let's go down that rabbit hole for a second. Okay, if you're Christian, if you believe in God, if you believe in Christ, okay, then it is said very succinctly, God loves all his children, not just the white, the black, the yellow, the green, doesn't matter. Okay, all of them. Oh, sadly, football, they really did. Back in 1976, that's how come it coined the phrase. That's how it got the nickname, the Ford exploded car. Because somebody would be tailgating and for whatever reason, rear-ended, and the car would blow up and kill both people. Yeah, and Black Dragon, there was a lot of that was said. I will tell you, when I grew up on the island, the Chevy had a much better rep. Now, I'm no mechanic. Okay, I'm really not. If I find the oil cap, I did well. But when I was growing up on Vancouver Island, the Chevy car, and the Chevy truck for that matter, had a far better undercoating than what Ford did. Net result, Fords tended to rust out a lot faster. Bear in mind, Vancouver Island is surrounded completely by salt water. Okay, guess what did the rusting? Let's see. Football goes Whopper with McDonald's. Ultimately, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I always got a kick out of McDonald's. It was great. It was great alcohol absorbent for going out to the bar or getting finished at the bar. Either way, the McDonald's burger was great for soaking up the alcohol. Not great for much of anything else, but it did do that. Okay, so I'm looking at this going, like Chris had asked, we've got to get in touch. We've got to get in touch this week. I've got to do the same thing with John, who is my artist in England. Okay, because it's time to start making things happen. So of course, when I get done this stream, I'll be adding a bunch of stuff that's getting dealt with for the October edition. Okay, because I'll be danged if I'm going to put that one out late. Not again. Okay, and this is simply a commitment to me, from me to me. Okay, I'm no longer content with my own tendency of procrastinating. Now, with that in mind, okay, I'm looking at this. Let's get those out of the way. This book can go back where it belongs. It boils down to this. It would be very advisable, okay, to really focus on the similarities that we have. And if we're going to focus on differences, find a way to make those differences match up. Okay. If you look at anything in the world, you can spot. If you're looking for bad things, you'll find them. If you're looking for good things, you'll find them. Okay. The trick is to look for all things and find a balance. Okay. But that balance is found here. It's that simple and that complicated, by the way. Now, with that in mind, okay, I'm looking at the whole issue of what is your purpose. For me, it's simple. I'm building an empire. I'm going to upgrade my wardrobe so that it starts to reflect what I see as success. Now, I got nothing wrong with this. I don't see something wrong with it. But is it top shelf? Not even close. Okay. Of course, in all fairness, some stores I've been into, even I have found getting to the top shelf doesn't work without a ladder. But it's up to you to decide what kind of world do you desire to see evolve around you. Okay, like I go over here, and this is just one of those neat little aspects. Okay, I've got pens and felt pens and what have you right here. I think that I have that over there. I do so. So I don't have one on the floor here. Ouch. Gravity works, but I don't need that on the floor under my feet. One of the biggest keys to successfully altering the path you're on is to get organized. Okay, now if you're having trouble getting organized, absolutely talk to me. I will more than happily point out the way I've done things. Okay, and I mean, there's a lot that you can see behind me that is not as well organized as I'd like. But this is the thing. It doesn't have to be. It's got to be organized where you're content with it, where you can get up, find exactly what you're looking for, and get everything moving in the right direction. Okay, this is why I take a look at this. Okay, this funny little box here. Okay, all that's got in it is recycling paper. Okay, so it will end up going out today. Because, frankly, again, it's a question of getting it in my own way, so I move it. It's an odd way to do it, but if you set stuff in your way, you'll be able to actually get yourself a little more organized. Okay, but the first thing you have to do, the first step to success, is literally determine what your purpose of going after. Well, really, the first idea is, what is success? Well, anything that does not encourage you to feel better about you or about your surroundings is something that is hindering your success. Unless you're striving to be depressed, striving to look at the world as in it's going to end and we're all going to be miserable. If that's your goal, have at her. Personally, I am tired of the stress. I'm tired of watching this world repeatedly go into a tailspin. And it's doing it all over again. Okay, so what I'm looking at is anything that I feel is not contributing to the path that I desire to be on, okay, is now getting changed. It's just that simple for me. Okay. Now, with that in mind, you've got the same choice. Are you content with where your world is? Yes, that is a pointer. Why? I don't know. It came with the shirt. Okay, but yes. But yeah, football, it's a pointer. I got a kick out of it. I think it was back in the late 80s. They had that funny little idea of, gee, let's pay $200 for jeans that have holes. I love the poor man's version. Let's buy a pair of jeans from a secondhand store, cut holes in them, pull them a little further so now they've got holes. All of a sudden, the value of your jeans go through the roof. I'm like, how is that possible? That becomes more valuable. Myself, I don't like having one hole in my jeans. Well, actually, I'm quite happy with 3 holes. One at the bottom of each leg and one at the waist. One at the top of the waist. Okay, Black Dragon, you've got an excellent situation. And this is what I was referring to, actually. You're content with your immediate surroundings. So now the trick is, do what you can to help people see the world in a different light. Okay. Encourage them to make changes to the world around you. Because your responsibility and the only place you've got direct control is around your house. Now, here's the kicker to it. Okay, here's the real kicker to the whole thing. Okay, if you're in your neighborhood and the street around you has a bunch of litter on it, okay, you flat out ignore I'm a firm believer that anybody that wants to pick up litter, go ahead. I know there was a real kerfuffle down this end when there were some people that were doing that, and then the city workers started complaining that they were taking away their jobs. Rest assured, people, there is enough litter on this planet for everybody to have time to be able to contribute. Okay, to be able to contribute with cleanup. This is not one group's responsibility, nor is it one group of people's directive that the world's gone into a tailspin. Yeah, I cannot actually read that. Oh, absolutely, there, football. There is I believe there is a 1 mile island of trash in the ocean. Okay, it's a great big conglomeration of garbage. Now, do not get me wrong. That's going to take a heck of a lot of cleanup effort. But it's something that we can start working on now. Okay, as I've mentioned before, one person dropping a candy wrapper on the ground isn't going to make much. But you take a city of 100,000 people and everybody drops a piece of garbage on the ground, and all of a sudden you've got a mess. That's just unfortunately the reality behind it. And it is one of these things that we have to start looking at. Is it the city worker's job to clean up the mess? Much as, and don't get me wrong, I almost invariably, when I see a city worker out there cleaning, changing the trash, I go out of my way to say thank you to them. Okay, but I will do the same thing to gardeners working on a property. Okay, because these are all people that are doing things to help the world heal, to help the world maintain stability. There's no reason that I can think of not to say thank you. Okay, so I mean, this is one of those neat little issues that we have to start looking at. What, pray tell, did I do here? There we go, that's better. Oh, bonus. Well, certainly not going to complain about that. I'm just scanning here. I did some consulting work today, and I just was double checking. Especially with the way the finances are sitting for me right now, it really, like you guys, is a little bit on the tight side. But what do we got? Football goes sad. Someone posted a picture in my squirrel Facebook group of a squirrel with the plastic ring around its body. Okay, and that, I have to commend the people that go out of their way to disconnect, to free these poor animals from the garbage that people are making. It doesn't take much. If you've got one of these plastic bottle holders, okay, and you're pulling the plastic out of it, clip the rings. Okay, it doesn't take a lot of work. Okay, and it's a mild effort that can save animals' lives. Okay, I mean, let's face it. In your eyes, like, I look at a lot of things going on, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Okay, I mean, I know just to give you an idea of some of the dumb things people do. Okay, wrong word for it, I admit. But at our city dump in Kelowna here, okay, the biggest warning on the bottom of the sign going into the dump, understanding a dump is a methane gas factory. But the biggest warning, do not drop off burning refuse. Now, you got to understand, you got to drive out to the dump in the first place. So who was the genius that decided driving their vehicle while it has burning stuff in it all the way to a methane gas plant to drop it off? Like, where, pray tell, is the intelligence here? And people wonder why I look at the world going, guys, we got to start pointing this sort of thing out. It really does have to start being shifted. But do what you can. And yes, I absolutely pick on smokers for this one. We're in the middle of a drought, and people are firing lit cigarette butts out the window. Obviously, the non-smokers are not doing this, or they're being charged with attempted murder or what have you. While we had the big fire going on here a couple of weeks ago, there were a couple of absolute geniuses here, and you'll notice the sarcasm dripping out of that one, that decided that lighting fireworks was a good idea. It's just amazing how many people just don't think about the consequences. But then we're not taught to anymore. I won't argue that point there, football. Okay, so a car doesn't have an ashtray. However, most cars, and this one makes no sense, but most cars do have a cup holder. And it doesn't take much to take a can or to take a pop bottle and put a little bit of water in the bottom of it and drop a cigarette butt into it. Instant ashtray. I honestly don't know there, Philip. I mean, it was a weird setup when I got out there the one day. I'm like, why would you drive anything burning into a methane gas plant? To me, this is just kind of suicidal. But we've got to start speaking up and saying, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, if you want to get a real comical run, okay, go to the appliance stores. One of the best appliance warnings I ever saw was on the side of a toaster box. Do not use this appliance in the bathtub. The bathtub, not the bathroom. And I took one look at this and went, but I wanted, I was looking for a perm and soggy toast. Why not? Yeah, I would too. Because you got to be pretty far north to be seeing polar bears at the dump. Okay, but what we have to remember, you put garbage out, bears are scavengers. That's where they go. I got told one day there was a law passed here. It was a bylaw. Bylaw was for the apartment I'm living in, and said anybody caught throwing a butt off the deck will be evicted. And one of the neighbors asked me if I found it to be a problem. I said personally no, but I'll guarantee if I'm throwing a butt off the balcony, I'm not going to get evicted. I'm going to get arrested. And the neighbor goes, well, why would you get arrested and everybody else gets evicted? I said, because I don't smoke. So if I'm throwing a butt off the third deck, I'm throwing somebody off my balcony. And they're going to look at that on a very sour note. And Callie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So I mean, I take a look at this. And these are all things that we can work together. We can bring to light. And I know the people in this chat room are working really well. That's terrible, Philip. Philip goes, polar bears like big, hairy, naked men in the winter, like a Robin Williams lookalike festival. That is just terrible. What we've got to realize, like for me, it's simple. I'm building an empire. My purpose is simple. Get the message out to people that the way we are doing things right now is not working. Okay, it's time to quit pointing the finger at the government, at the elites, at the different religions, at the marketing companies. It's time to remember one little detail that was pointed out to me a long time ago. If you're pointing your finger at one person, where are the other three fingers pointing? Okay, it's time we take responsibility for our own actions. Okay, and this is why, with the stream, I'm not going to be charging ever for it. Okay, it may come a time where I have to shut it down because, all of a sudden it's costing money that I don't have. But as long as I'm able to do it, I will continue doing it for free. The newsletter is just flat out going out for free. And the reason for it is because this is my way of going, these are messages that have to get out, that I feel have to get out. Okay. Now, will I do my best to drop in on various different sites? Absolutely. One thing we have to remember, if you've got a goal in life, anything that you're working on, that doesn't contribute to it is taking away time. Now, do understand, when I talk about anything, you still require your spare time to relax. Okay, it's absolutely imperative that you have that time. Where are we here? Derek is just asking, keep praying for Desiree. She is turning the corner a little. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely there, Derek. And absolutely, when you get a chance, let her know, at least from my end, I am certainly putting my prayers into it. Cowie. Cowie is asking, Keith, how did you discover your goal in life? A lot of soul searching. Basically what it boiled down to was this. I've got memories that date back multiple lifetimes, and I've seen mankind go down this path time and again. Back in about 1968. Okay, which, by the way, would coincide with my walking out of the morgue. I went, I'm done with people. I'm just pulling away from everybody. I hope they will wake up. Well, here I am, 55 years later, and man is still doing the same thing. So my sitting back isn't working, which means I had to go, what am I doing to contribute to help get away from this? Because if you're not helping, then you're adding to the problem. Yes, it's kind of a black and white issue. Okay. And very little that I look at is black and white. But I came to the realization that if I continue, if I continue to just stay away from people and bite my tongue, I end up with a major problem. Now, Philip is asking, have you ever helped someone leave a cult? Multiple times. I helped guide a gentleman years ago, and it wasn't a cult per se, but you've heard of the Crips and the Bloods. Okay, two massive gangs in the States. I have guided people out of that. Okay, I've guided people out of negative religious cults. And what I mean by that is ones that go, your life, you have to put all of your effort into me. Okay, I am the be all and end all. I am not the be all and end all. Okay, there's a lot of things I am, but that ain't one of them. But yes, I have absolutely sat down with people that desire to leave and help them walk away. Help them see the why they're not content. Usually what happens is they come to me going, this is the way my life is going and I don't like it, but I don't understand what I can do with it. And therefore, all I do is turn on the lights. All I do is go, this is what I'm seeing. This is what you're going through. Now, you've got a choice. Keep doing that or do this. The chap that I briefly referred to from the Crips, he desired to leave the Crips permanently for his family. He already had a wife and 2 kids, and he wanted out of the Crips, but he didn't want to be dead. Okay, he desired to live and guide his own kids into a much better life. Okay, and so we worked together, managed to do it. Joe is going, my father is 74 and still smokes cigarettes, but I'm not going to tell him to quit. That's not my place. No, but ask him then. But let me ask you this, Joe. Technically, it is your place from the standpoint of you care about him. You know cigarettes are not helping him. But let's put something in perspective. And we're going to do that in about 5 seconds here. Where are we? Minimize that. And World has just wandered in. So this is the link to World's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. Now, Joe, it is your place, because you care about your father, pointing out that the cigarettes are not helping him. Okay, that is your place. Badgering him doesn't make a lot of sense. But what can and what you do have the right to ask, and is your place to ask, is ask him if he would like to quit smoking. Okay, because understand, 15 years ago, the Canadian Health Authority came up with a brilliant comment. The number one cause of lung cancer was breathing. You know, so, I mean, when I looked at that, it's like, okay, that's a bit of a hiccup. Well, yeah, and I appreciate the clarification. World Bigfoot is simply saying it's all pre-recorded. Okay, but absolutely still do the checking it out. You know, myself, I never actually started smoking, period. You know, I didn't see a lot of purpose to it. Okay, but it's the one thing I never started smoking. You know, but from my standpoint, I figure, you know, what you want, the only time I really strongly recommend people quit smoking is if you happen to be suffering from lung problems, you know, or asthma, something like that. Then filling your lungs with smoke does not seem viable. But hey, a lot of people are doing it. Well, that's just it. The ironic part is cigarettes do help that little. Alcohol doesn't. Well, you know, the neat part there, Black, okay, you know, your grandfather was 98 when he died, and he smoked non-filter cigarettes most of his life. The funny part there is by smoking non-filtered ones, he wasn't getting the asbestos and the fiberglass, or whatever it is they make the filter out of. Okay, needless to say, in my opinion, that makes them a little healthier. You know, Derek goes, I haven't drank since 2015. I actually quit drinking in 1987. You know, I still drink and like have a couple of drinks over the course of a year. Yeah, Phelps going, I used to keep a pack in my glove compartment and would have one when my car broke down. I'm hoping it didn't break down a lot, but hey, what the heck. You know, I'm looking at some of what went on. I mean, you take a look at some of these events that we've lived through. Okay, it's time we change the path we're on. It really is. This idea of just continually broadcasting, and I see it all the time. You know, you get onto Facebook, for instance. Let's just pop that open for half a sec. Where are we? Go there. We open Facebook up. The second I open Facebook, right? Oh, wild. When I open this up, now, here's the thing. They've got this neat lad up in the top right corner of Facebook that I'm looking at right now. Canadian debt relief. Well, let me tell you something. Debt relief, it's a great idea, except one small problem. When you start looking at the idea of going bankrupt, understand, first and foremost, you got into debt in all likelihood, probably because you overextend yourself, you made a miscalculation. But when you got into debt, you took on a loan from somebody who legitimately thought you were going to pay it back. Going bankrupt means you're not paying your honestly incurred debt. The person that stuck their neck out and said, okay, I'll trust you, they don't get their money. The only person that gets money is the bankruptcy trustee. I was guided into bankruptcy twice. And this is one of the reasons why I ended up writing the book, Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. Okay, this one here. This little one here. Okay. One of the reasons I wrote it was because I made so many stupid moves in my eyes based on what so-called professionals told me that I said, no, this doesn't work for me anymore. Okay. And this entire series, the Believe in Whichever, Believe in Your, whichever one we're talking about, these are all based on personal tools that I use in my day-to-day life. And yes, the only place you can get them at this point is directly from me. Okay. So, I look at these and go, there is so much I have to that I end up repeating on occasion. Where are we? Where are we going? And Derek goes, there's a new video going around of Joe Biden, and it was someone wearing a mask of him. 100% experts confirmed it. The sad part about it, what do we got? There are so many things that have gone sour over the past. Yes, we can look at them, we can post them, we can talk about them. Let's talk about this. What can we do? Okay. What can we do to make this one, to guide this world to a brighter tomorrow, to a more mutually beneficial time? Okay. Are we going to continue looking at the negative things going on? Okay. Are we going to continue propagating that side of it? Myself, not planning on it. Okay. But I'm not perfect by any means. It's funny. I was talking to somebody just the other day. I actually was looking at this particular thing there, Philip. When I was growing up, it was an idea of let's make the scariest, most horrific costume we can make. Okay. And you went out, with this kind of work. Now people put on a t-shirt, they put it on backwards and go, I'm dressed as a bum. Okay. The imagination has tanked. Okay. It really has. Now, yes, I was asked about getting dressed up, for Halloween. I'm still on the fence. The reality is, back in the 80s, I was in my 20s, I used to go all out. Okay. But I got very much away from it. What I'm going to do at this point, I don't know. I do know what I'm doing with Christmas this year. Okay. But, it used to be you'd have these great efforts with house decorations, with costumes, with costume parties, with award bar, with, different costume contests. And one of the favorite things that we had, until some genius came along and decided, hey, here's an idea. Let's put razor blades in apples and then hand those out to the kids. How about if we do that? Because that's always brilliant. Now, I'm a firm believer, and I know this is just wrong. I've got a very, in a lot of people's eyes, You know, it used to be Halloween was meant as a celebration. It was not meant as a weapons fair. And unfortunately, because of the lack of accountability and the amount of of inclusion from the standpoint of, oh my gosh, you showed up at school, you get an A just because you showed up. This doesn't work well. Philip, I used to be in the church. Okay, I used to sing in the church choir. Did we go around Christmas caroling? No. Okay, but of course, in my case, you don't go outside when you're not with people because you get lost. And I know that's a lousy way of looking at it, but it very much was a real one for me. But did I ever go Christmas caroling? No. And I certainly didn't go Halloween caroling. However, I did used to celebrate Halloween. Gave that up when I ended up on my own. Okay. Yeah, no, I understood where you were coming from, and no, I didn't. From my standpoint, I never did go out and about. Of course, you also have to look at the other extenuating factor here. If I was outside and stress got too high or I got overextended, while I'm walking down the street, I'd do a face plant and go into the dead fish routine. I was an active, highly active epileptic. Okay, so mom and dad didn't really take me out of the house that much to do things like Christmas Carol. I was somewhat protected from that standpoint. But did I ever see other people doing it? Certainly. And would I listen to them? Certainly. Okay. There's a lot of things I didn't do because you got to remember, I've spent the majority of my life very reclusive. Okay, but one of my goals at this point, one of those funny little focal points that I've got is to become more socially active, more visibly active. Okay, and this is one of the biggest things, and it's a big challenge from my end. It really is. And no, I don't expect that. The fact of the matter is, I have been very reclusive for over a decade. Now I'm starting to go, okay, let's get out into the public and start seeing what we can do about bringing a little bit of peace to people. I'm still, when we start looking at that, and, I'm not going to go any further into the Christmas side, but in December, I will absolutely be focusing on that side of it. I've got a rule in my house, and it's always been this way since I've had a place of my own. I don't do any Christmas movies, Christmas songs, Christmas videos, none of it until December 1st. And it all ends on December 31st. Now, Christmas gifts and wrapping and what have you, I absolutely go ahead and do it. Raymond L., you are absolutely right. And by the way, thank you so much for joining us. Isolation can be very dangerous. When you're left with your own thoughts only, you can get into some pretty sour outlooks. Okay. From my standpoint, I also found that the longer I was reclusive, the less, the longer it gets, and the longer I stayed reclusive, the less likely I was to get out. Okay. Now, see, I look at this, Philip, and I'm absolutely not in agreement with this. Halloween is supposed to be, Halloween is set for October 31st. From my standpoint, it's a simple issue of, and this is just a personal thing on my part. Okay, starting your Halloween sales and what have you in August is like starting Christmas sales in July. Okay, I do not agree with them for a lot of reasons. Number one, it takes the focus out of it. Yeah, no doubt that world goes, hermits unite separately at your own houses. Okay, and as the saying goes, it's a thought that counts. For me, I just look at it this way. I will reach out to the world. I am going to do what I can to turn the lights on. Okay, am I going to, is it likely somebody will convince me that selling Christmas stuff in July is a good move? I wouldn't hold my breath. Okay, the one exception to Christmas decorations is I do encourage people when it is, when it's warm, if you're putting Christmas lights up, put them up while it's warm. Don't turn them on, but put them up, because they'll tell you at 20 and 30 below, putting Christmas lights up just is uncomfortable, to say the least. Yeah, Philip goes, nothing scarier than back to school. So that's why it feels scary like Halloween, but without the fun. And that part I can go with. From my standpoint, there's a lot that I look at there. But, where are we? I was just reading some of what's been written here. The thing is, my purpose is simple. Turn on the lights where people are doing things a little backwards and hope that somebody sees this and lights a torch and carries it out further. Okay, this is why I said when we focus and start co-creating another pandemic, a pandemic of smiling, helping people. Okay, let's start that kind of a pandemic. And all of a sudden, we've got a world that can turn around very nicely. But it's going to take some effort. That's just the reality of it. Well, the funny part there, world, is what they were teaching you in high school. And I do tend to concur with you. A lot of what was taught in high school, number one, didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. Okay, that'd be first and foremost. The second thing I noticed, well, this is going well. How can you tell we're hitting the 2 hour mark? Yeah, and that part on Black Dragon I absolutely agree with. This year, like I used to do lights up all around the inside of the house and garlands the whole 9 yards. This year I'm not going to be putting the garlands up at the roof because I can't get them there. I can get up on the stool, certainly, but the third time I step off the stool, the leg goes. And then I'm screwed up for the rest of the day. But these are just some of the things I'm looking at. Yeah, well, we are, just to be clear, and this is why I cut it real close to the 4:30 mark, because as you can tell, my throat is seizing, and I'm not going to make it another 20 minutes. Okay, we're just hitting the 2 hour mark here. Pretty quick. Yeah, isn't that the truth, though? Phil's just giving us a quote. I have never let my schooling interfere with my education, by Mark Twain. Okay. And, that being said, I absolutely agree. I'm a firm believer. If you don't know something, certainly talk to somebody that does and learn through them. Preferably learn about the mistakes they made and don't do the same ones. Okay. Kind of a necessary growth curve, really. But one of the things I'm looking at, and what is tomorrow? Tomorrow we are on open topic. So absolutely, when you come in tomorrow, if you've got questions, bring them along. Absolutely. It is time for us to really shift gears. And I mean us as a people to shift gears and really focus our energies on bringing the positive things to light, on bringing the good things that people are doing to light. Yeah. And world's going, the coldest weather I ever saw was a summer weekend in Duluth. Also Mark Twain. Now, myself, I don't actually know where Duluth is. But let's just see if I can figure that out. Oh, there we are, Duluth, Minnesota. Philip goes, in the first place, God made idiots. This was for practice. Then he made school boards. Also by Mark Twain. Here's the thing. I bought a picture and bought a t-shirt for a friend of mine. It says, God must love idiots. He made so many of them. And you know, I look at it going this way. If you do something because you've never done it before, and for whatever reason, you don't realize how bad it is, this is true ignorance. Okay. If on the flip side of that, if you know better and you know what it leads to and you do it anyway, that's called stupidity. You know, I mean, from my standpoint, I grew up in Comox, and we used to go up to a place called Mount Washington to Snowmobile before Mount Washington became a ski resort. So my dad was actually one of the people that cut the runs that are up there. But clearly, my throat is going to see shut on me. So since we're hitting the 2-hour mark, I realize it's before 6:30, but I'm not making the other 15 minutes here. Okay, this said, I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. Really appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. But until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.